I'm a big proponent of healthy fat because I've been intermittent fasting, my body tends to burn fat instead of sugar.
What's up guys, Derek, MorePlatesMoreDates.com. Today we're going to be reacting to everything Terry Crews eats in a day to stay fucking yoked, buddy. Jacked in all caps by Men's Health. This is a very, I don't know, the premier channel for celebrities to come out and show their lifestyles and diet stuff to, stay in shape, get in shape for roles, superhero transformations. All the top fucking cream of the crop guys are on here, the Kumail Nanjianis of the world, top fucking athletes in, well, I don't know if you'd call them athletes, but you know what I mean, like celebs that are getting in shape to play superheroes, whatever it is. We got them all fucking here. So anyways, Terry Crews, what he eats in the day to stay jacked. He is a very prominent, self-proclaimed natural for his entire life, despite the fact that he looks fucking pretty fucking sauced, and he's in his 50s, I believe now. It could be wrong. I did a natty or not on him a while back. I'll put up a card in the corner. Terry Crews, natty or not, I believe it was called. Should be pretty easy to find. And yeah, let's get into it. If you want to see my deep dive into his, physique progression over the years, where things kind of, took a giant tangent in, all of a sudden his gains started picking up out of fucking nowhere. His, historical appearances with, Mr. Natural, Mike O'Hearn, shit like that. You can check it out. But anyways, let's get into his what he does to stay jacked.
Pasta, meatballs, ham, my yogurt.
Oh, a lot of yogurt.
I love yogurt. Hi, my name is Terry Crews, and I'm gonna take you through a day of my diet, basically.
It's like one of the most prominent titty bouncers in the fucking industry, bro.
8 years now, I have been intermittent fasting. So when I wake up, the first thing I do is have a glass of water, but I also have a shaker cup, kind of like this, and I put amino acid powder inside. I like to call it stardust. Okay, I drink that all morning and afternoon, and then I'm off to the races.
Okay, so if you're sipping on EAAs, BCAAs, whatever it is, are you really fasting? Not really. You are still getting calories through that, despite what, many people will say. You cannot simply, what was the fucking Bollywood star? It's like, by the way, if you have isopure protein, you're just getting like 25 grams protein with 0 calories. That was a more brutal example because I guess it's not common knowledge that amino acids cumulatively, despite the label not necessarily saying they have calories, when you add it up, gram for gram, it equates to an actual tangible amount of fucking calories, whereby it's going to have an impact on your, caloric intake relative to expenditure. Is it super significant? That's arguable, obviously, depending how steep in the deficit you are, how much you're fucking drinking. But at the end of the day, you're not really fasting when you're sipping on aminos all morning in a giant shaker cup. I don't know how many scoops he's doing, how many grams it is, whatever. Anyways, kind of fucking semantics at the end of the day. But if it helps him stay satiated, it helps him not, go off the deep end and, fall off the wagon in terms of adherence to his diet model, then by all means, a reasonable strategy.
Around 10, I have an espresso. Usually it's with nothing in it but coconut oil. More fat, really good for you. I'm a big proponent of healthy fat because I've been intermittent fasting, my body tends to burn fat instead of sugar. I love eggs.
So he mentions how he adds a bit of fat in at this point, again, to kind of increase satiation and prevent them from, binging on some shit, presumably. Like at the end of the day, some people are better at, rationing out their portions into, 6 small meals spread throughout the day, maximizing muscle protein synthesis spikes throughout their, 16 hours awake, whatever it is. Other people, once they start eating something with, carbohydrates, for example, and they start getting those blood sugar fluctuations, it basically sends them down a spiral of cravings. And for them, sometimes it's easier to follow, a 16-8 intermittent fasting split, or, You can allocate those hours accordingly, however deep you want to get into a fasting window. It's going to differ individual to individual, but in general, an intermittent fasting split is something like sleeping for 8 hours and waiting 8 hours to eat after you've waken up, and then, backloading everything into an 8-hour span. Is this ideal for, muscle growth? Arguably, no. You could, spread out the muscle protein synthesis activity in the body throughout the day and get, a more diversified and probably well tolerated on your digestive system amount of food. But is it going to net out to some great difference that is going to otherwise make it worthwhile if you otherwise wouldn't have stuck to your diet to shove everything into an 8-hour window versus spreading it out 6 meals? It's individual to individual. And again, if you can't stick to your caloric intake goals, spreading it out 6 meals a day, and you find it easier to wake up and sip on aminos and, put coconut oil in your espresso or whatever it is, like, this is obviously what he has dialed in. He's been able to maintain a pretty impressive and lean body composition for the majority of his career. So obviously, if it's working for him, by all means, even if it's not like the most optimal thing for muscle growth purposes, if he's gonna not stick to his diet otherwise, obviously this is the optimal thing for him personally.
Egg dishes are the best. An egg frittata, scrambled eggs, bacon, and a really, really fresh salad. I love that. It's kind of like a little bit of breakfast, a little bit of lunch. It's like a brunch, you know what I mean? Or if I can't have that, I'll have a charcuterie board. And the charcuterie board comes with all the salamis and cheeses and all that stuff. I love the fermentation of some pickles.
Man, I can't even imagine fucking prepping that every morning, making a whole board, smorgasbord assortment of all this stuff. Must be time consuming.
Marconi almonds, but also with the cheese, it really satisfies you. Like, I feel super satiated, like you just had a big dessert,
Notice how his entire diet model is based upon satiation. The guy is definitely strategizing his diet model to adhere to a certain caloric intake in order to maintain his, lean looking body composition, especially as he gets older. It can be a bit more difficult to, maintain an athletic look or, a muscular while simultaneous visible, clean 6-pack abs look that you otherwise may have maintained with greater ease in your youth. Now, again, there's new data that suggests that your metabolism doesn't actually slow down that much as you get older. However, obviously things are working against you as you get older. Your hormonal profile is declining. Things are just not firing as well. You are getting impaired digestion, lack of even digestive enzymes and whatnot, things that are going to otherwise facilitate physiologic processes with greater ease all become, slowly, deteriorated over time. That's not to say that you're just a fucking disaster once you're in your 50s, but I mean, he's obviously strategizing in order to, this is what works for him and is sustainable. And that's fucking great. Ultimately, whatever you need to do that is sustainable is what's going to be the best, even if it's not like the absolute optimal thing on paper.
And then I go for a while with no food. About 5 o'clock, I'll have a protein shake. And remember, I do all my workouts in the morning. So I usually
3 plates with fucking ease, buddy. Butter.
So I usually work out fasted. But I have my protein later on in the day. So it really fills me up. It makes me feel really, after the lunch that I just had and the whole thing kind of warms my body up.
See, interesting thing about that is most people are not going to find that an ideal source of nutrients when they are in a steep deficit. They're not going to want to drink a liquid shake. That's going to be like the least satiating thing. Now, some people, whey, maybe it fills them up, but again, there's different ways to prepare your whey to be more satiating. Just putting a bunch of ice in it in a blender and making a protein ice cream. Making a fucking pancake or French toast or something, kind of mixing in, your carbohydrates from another part of the day and allocating it accordingly and making it a bit more palatable rather than just having liquid calories. But ultimately, whatever works for you fucking works. It's not to say what he's doing is wrong. It's just interesting and, slightly deviates from what otherwise is probably a more satiating alternative for the majority of people. Like, again, making a protein ice cream, you could fucking, in my opinion, double how satiating the same fucking intake of the same food is just by adding ice, adding more volume, making it take longer to actually ingest. Definitely a bit more of a diet-friendly option, but for him, it fucking works. So that's great.
For the dinner that I'm about to have. So usually between 7 and 8, I have a delicious meal which is not ketogenic. Like, I'll have my bread, I can have some pasta. A great dinner for me would be bison ribeyes, sweet potatoes, and broccoli. Usually like grilled broccoli or broccoli rabe on the grill. I love that. Oh, I mean, I'm happy, I'm satisfied. I'm a big dessert guy, not a big cake guy, but love.
So is this diet model necessarily optimal from a micronutrient intake aspect? Plug it into Chronometer and see for yourself. You're probably deficient in numerous things here, but again, when you're trying to maintain fucking deep ab cuts in your 50s, certain micronutrient dense options become a little bit less, ideal if they're not satiating for you or the most palatable option. For him, clearly he is using the allotment of his calories to choose things that are going to make this a sustainable approach. So this is kind of where you get into the thought process of, should you be supplementing with certain deficiencies? Should you be swapping things out for adding in some organ meats on top of that in order to get a natural alternative with a relatively calorie light version of a natural source of some of these vitamins and whatnot? It's kind of up for your own interpretation how you feel. But ultimately, I think all of us can get on board with the fact that finding what works best for you and is sustainable long-term is ultimately what's going to be the best diet model for staying lean. Is it necessarily going to be optimal for muscle growth and every single fucking physiologic process there is? Probably not. But again, the likelihood that this guy is even natural and relying on natural hormone production to begin with all the cofactors necessary to get natural endogenous testosterone to max out levels, fucking low. I think this guy is sauced. So anyways, continue.
Love cheesecake. They have some really good ketogenic cheesecakes. You make them with almond flour, you can't tell the difference. It's absolutely phenomenal. And then I'm off to bed. Let's talk cheat days. I used to have an all-day cheat day back when I was in my big lifting thing, and it didn't work.
Notice how when he says, what do you say? His big, what do you say? Hang on.
I used to have an all-day cheat day back when I was in my big lifting thing, and
when I was in my big lifting thing, I'm listening through my phone, so audio's not as good quality. My fucking computer's screwing up right now. But again, kind of interesting how his physique's better now in his 50s than it is, in his peak lifting when he was, all he cared about was maximal athletic performance and getting, as physically fit as possible in order to maximize his, whatever he was trying to do with sports. And yet now he's like hosting, fucking TV shows. He's, working his ass off. He's doing tons of media. He's doing his own social media. He's doing all this stuff. Probably not as diehard focused on the fitness component, probably just doing what he can to get by and have it be sustainable and maintain the physique he's happy with. Getting into his 50s here, and yet he has a better physique than he did in his peak lifting days. Definitely fucking natural, bro.
It didn't work. Instead of having a whole cheat day, it's more of a cheat meal. Saturday night, it's pizza, it's burgers, it's fries. We're talking pecan pie, we're talking apple pie a la mode, all that stuff. It's probably as decadent as I can make it so that I don't feel like I'm missing anything. And then you can eat really good the rest of the week without feeling like you're missing, something. You want to try that cronut? Hey, the cronut's happening on Saturday night, so you don't miss it. So that's how my cheat day works out. Hey, I'm Terry Crews, and this is what I eat.
All right, so again, summarizing, the guy obviously is, can you apply everything to your, life? The guy's in his 50s. Relying on exogenous hormones, in my opinion. But again, the overall approach is kind of the same, Do what you can that's sustainable. Whatever it is that's sustainable is ultimately going to be the thing that you can adhere to long-term. Anything that causes, dysregulation in your leptin and ghrelin levels to the point that you're eventually going to binge eat and fucking implode your diet model and be a giant disaster on the weekends. When your cheat day comes around, you slam 5,000, 6,000 calories of absolute atrocity food items. And, just so you can get the willpower back to get back on a strict regimen throughout the rest of the week, you're entering into eating disorder territory. So for him, having something like he mentioned, it used to be a cheat day and now it's sort of like a cheat meal, like that's sort of representative of where I think a more healthy, mental approach to food and this kind of whole lifestyle dieting thing comes into play and is obviously working for him. And I think a lot of people could definitely benefit from trying to find that middle ground where you're not, aggressively dieting all week, being super strict to the point where you then allocate yourself a full, 24-hour span to binge eat. And you literally, like the night, how many times have I had, that cheat day and the night before I couldn't even get my sleep because I was so excited, like it was fucking Christmas time the next day. And I'd wake up early and just start destroying myself. Like that's the kind of shit that happens when you have an unsustainable diet model that's too strict and is preventing you from actually maintaining it long term. And you just end up in this yo-yo spiral of, too strict throughout the week, fucking destroying yourself once a week, trying to recover for a few days, feeling like dog shit. You finally get back to where you were, in the last week, a few days after you've dropped all the water weight, all the fucking, food that's sitting in your stomach, all your digestion is back to normal, you're feeling on point again. And then you're 2 days out from your next cheat day and you're already envisioning all the fucking atrocities that you're going to be, devastating in your kitchen the next time. That's not the way you want to do it. What he's doing is, pretty solid in my opinion. I don't think it's, the ideal diet model, but ultimately you have to weigh out, micronutrient density as well as what's the optimal thing versus what's actually sustainable will have you enjoying your life whilst maintaining the body composition you want. So anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. All the comments help the algorithm. They're much appreciated. What are your, what's your sustainable diet model look like? Did you used to do the whole, aggressively diet and then binge eat once a week sort of thing? Did you transition it more to what he's doing that's more sustainable and you have, one super flexible moment in time throughout the week where you just kind of eat whatever you want? What have you found to be the best that works for you, as well as what strategies do you use throughout the week to stay satiated? He mentioned the he didn't say EAAs, he just said aminos that he sips on throughout the morning. And then he has his espresso and he has the coconut oil. So what kind of hacks do you guys use? Anything to help stay satiated obviously is, a welcomed addition to most people's diet models, and, spread the fucking education. So let us know. All the comments help the algorithm. They're much appreciated. Like, subscribe, check out my blog, moreplates.com, follow me on Instagram, and More Plates, More Dates, Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, TikTok, Apple Podcasts. If you want to support the channel, you can check out anything I'm associated with in the video description below. My HRT clinic, all telemedicine from the comfort of your own home. Get high quality medical oversight from doctors who understand how to interpret diagnostics and even know what to order in the first place to get an accurate bird's eye view of your health and start dissecting and parsing out any kind of information that helps you make a more informed, educated decision about lifestyle, diet manipulation, endocrine, parameter, anything related to changes that may be warranted moving forward to optimize your health and performance. You can check that out, as well as anything else I'm associated with. Gorilla Mind, nootropic formulas, Gorilla Mode pre-workout formulas, design myself from scratch. Recommended diet model for gaining muscle and sports performance. I mentioned many times in this video the importance of micronutrients, especially in a bulking, the gaining muscle phase, whatever you want to call it, where maintaining high level satiation is less of a priority. This is the optimal diet model, in my opinion, for all vectors of sports performance and muscle growth. So you can check that out if you are interested to see how to maintain optimal levels of health whilst being mindful of maximizing muscle growth and sports performance simultaneously. And the shirts that I'm wearing in my videos, the clothing company that sponsors me, as well as anything else I'm associated with, helps support the channel. It is all in the video description below. Thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.